I'm Dozen Cat. I started playing VRChat since 2020, and I recently just got into virtual filmmaking, and I like to know more about the process of filming stuff in VRChat. Yeah.
I'm Wolfy, right? Um, I've been doing like general videos since like sixth grade, but I got into like the whole filmmaking stuff like recently, t- 2 years ago, and then decided to pick up VR because I'm like, "Oh, this looks really fun and interesting. I could probably do something with it." Ended up, making stuff, seeing what works, and any work I make, I just try to improve it as time goes on. So yeah, I tend to major in telecommunications, so nothing super fancy, just so I can continue pursuing this type of passion I have. But yeah,
Cool. Yeah. We're all doing something kind of related to filmmaking.
that's what I noticed a lot about a lot of the people I've been talking to, especially in the group that we have. Like a lot of people like either major in photography, have a major in some sort of small field within each other. So it's kind of interesting because we're able to share something we all like in common. So it's pretty nice.
Have you ever filmed anything in real life?
Yeah, I actually do have some stuff in my portfolio. It's just sitting around. So whenever I turn it into a college or something, I'll just be like, here's my portfolio. I do have like an actual like camera, Sony 6008 400, if I'm correct. I just need to get a lens for it. After that, I have to start making some stuff in person, and yeah, okay, I'll be set for that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the video you made.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, lifelike. I'll start with the idea. Yeah. So the original idea I had, it was one with three friends. It was gonna be called Wharf Talk, but a song by Tyler that just recently came out around 3, 4 months ago. I don't remember. I really don't. But we were originally gonna do that, and I have the photos, I have the song and everything. I still have the project in everything, but I was like, yeah, this is a cool idea, but I didn't feel like it was doing something, that I wanted to go for. Because I know, like, from experience from just like Aqua and then MFF one, like there's what I seem to notice a lot of our community likes emotional stuff, where, things that are just fun in general. So if I did just a music video with Tyler, be like, oh, a few people would get it, or like a few people would think it's good. But then it would leave like the other side of the fandom, like, oh wait, that was just a normal, some other forgettable music video. I was like, okay, okay. So I switched it up. I didn't say anything to my friends because I'm like, we can work on this later. I just really want to do my own thing for now. So I was like in my bed that night. I was like, what can I tie together that can talk about something I've gone through like a lot, and kind of help connect with the fandom, and then just make something emotional. And that's how the idea of LIFELIKE came out. Because I was like, I really wanted to use a Porter Robinson song. I just wasn't sure which one I wanted to use. So I was like, I could use LIFELIKE. I've never seen people really use that song. So I was like, why not? So I went for LIFELIKE. Nice instrumental, sets the tone for like the video, and you can tell a story with it. So yeah, that's how the idea came.
Did you film everything all by yourself?
Yeah. Actually, like 90% of it was filmed by myself. The only parts that weren't filmed by myself was Mikey's part, which was another attendee that we had. So I told him I really wanted to involve like people, so I called in like one of my friends. Like the first person I called in was Fusion Gunner, and I was like, "Hey man, do you want to like help me record? Because I know you're really good with worlds and you like telling stories and you like Porter Robinson too." And he's like, "Well, I'm pretty busy this week." I'm like, "All right, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool." So I went to go bother Lucif. Um, it's like he never responded. Like even though I talked to him, like he never responded. And then I went to go bother my friend Mike. I'm like, "Hey man, I have this idea. I have the story I want to tell. I'll show you the rough draft for it. Are you willing to help me?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm down. I'm so down." And then he's like he'll help me if I help him with his video. So it kind of went like that. So 90% of it was myself, and then the other like 10 was my friend. So
Yeah, it's really impressive. Um, I watched your video and I really like the transition you made and how you matches the chord with um the melody, the music. And I also like how
Mhm.
you matches the text with the music too. Yeah.
Yeah, the text. Yeah, the one thing I was scared now that you reminded me. A lot of the stuff for the text, I was really scared people were not gonna have time to read it. So there's no script. It's just mostly that things that I you know went through throughout this year, and I was like, let me put that together, put it in third person, and make the audience help connect with the audience. So I was like, man, I really need to shorten this because there were like 2 lines in each one. I'm like, oof, that's not good. So I shortened it down to what it is now, but I didn't capitalize specific words. And I was like, man, I really want to make specific words stand out so they can be more like more yeah more meaning. Like with Mikey's part, there was like you can get out of this depression. Depression was capitalized because it's a big word that can stand out, and then you can help yourself. Like there's just small words that could be capitalized just to make them help stand out and mean a lot
Yep.
more. It's like saying the words "I am happy" and just saying "I am" and then capitalizing all of happy. It makes the word happy have a bigger meaning than just "I am happy."
Yeah, that is a really good idea. And I have little to no problem reading the text, which means you did a great job. Um, also, are those your avatars? The avatars you use in your music videos?
Yes, every single one of those was an avatar I used. There is like 2 other ones that I was gonna use, like the small Tatum bee that I use a lot and people recognize, and my Aqua one, but I just never ended up using them. Like I have the footage of them, but I just never ended up using them because I'm like, it has a story, but I can't really connect it with what I'm trying to do. So there is. I made a separate one, which was the first concept for LIFELIKE, which was months ago before this one was made,
Ooh.
and it was with the little bee. It was when I first listened to LIFELIKE and I nurture in general, and I was like a really low part of my life, and I was like, man, I could really work something with this like album in general.
Yeah.
My original idea was to use the album like at a full length, but then I was like, oof, that's stretching it. So I just stuck with a little 30 seconds of the song, made it, and yeah, I still have like the clips for the bee if you want me to share those for you. I can
Oh
just
yeah,
share you
yeah.
like everything I have.
Um.
But yeah, no, it was just nature connected to yourself kind of deal. So yeah.
Yeah. The idea is really well established.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I made sure it was established like beforehand
It
because
couldn't be more
I was
obvious.
dealing with like no like nature. This whole album's about helping yourself, like trying to understand all that. So I'm like, that's something I was going through at the time. So, and like I'm a bee, so it kind of just all tied together eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
Oh, about the opening of your video, do you actually know how to play the piano?
No,
Ah.
not at all. Not at all, actually. Not at all. That is something I do want to learn a lot later, like in my life. Like I'm talking a lot later. I've seen a joke been thrown around between just my friends and just comments I've seen in some of my videos or people in general. They're like, "You really love pianos, don't you?" Because it's not a real Wolfie film if it does not have a piano. Like if you look back at
Oh,
some of my
really?
work, like even the last ones, like the MFF one, the Aqua, they all have a piano. I shit you not, the piano.
It-
They all have a piano.
It's your feature.
No, no, literally. There's a comment. I'll look for it. They're like, oh, really nice scenes with the piano. I'm noticing like a small, like connection between all these. I'm like, just really think pianos are really cool. I feel like they can have a lot.
Yeah.
So I tend to just keep them there.
Yeah, I know how to play piano, but I haven't played it in a while. Yeah.
No, yeah. I showed one of my friends that he's a musician, and he's like, you hit all the wrong keys, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. Don't tell me. Like, hello, don't tell me. There's also like even for the MFF one, like I was looking back at it since I decided to make a tier list of all my videos because I'm like which ones are like my best work and which is my worst work, which I feel like is horrible. And I was looking at the MFF one. I'm like, dude, this piano scene is so off. Like, completely off. Not even in beat. It was just me mashing. Not even like bothering to go with it. It was so frustrating to look at.
The piano scenes in your video, those are convincing enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I try to look for a lot of piano stuff too, or at least have a piano somewhere. At least it's like a trademark. Like instead of slapping my watermark like at the bottom right or left, it's just a big ass piano saying, "You know who made this." So.
Yeah. Not sure if you've mentioned this before, but did you make the video before the Furality showcase was announced or after?
Actually, I was waiting for Brimstone to say something. I completely forgot to check like the Furality like Discord at all. And I messaged him privately like, "Hey man, so when is the showcase?" And he's like, "Dude, I announced it like 2 months ago." I was like, "Oh." So I already have an idea like months ahead of time. But I was waiting for him to say something. I just never checked the announcements. So whenever I messaged him privately, I'm like, "So when can I start working on this?" Because I know you can start working on it anytime, but I didn't want to like have it there sitting in my files just waiting, because it's gonna be like so tempting to post something to do. I can post this right now type of thing. So yeah, whenever he told me, yeah, you have like 3 weeks, I'm like, oh, okay. So I got straight to work. Spend nights and days. A lot of the time was actually spent color correcting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of the time was spent color correcting. Because it was a lot of like going back and forth. It's like a painting.
Yeah.
It's like a painting,
What program did you use to do the color correction?
I used Premiere Pro. Everything is Premiere Pro.
Same.
Like even the remixing of the song because there's a mega mix of Porter Signature album that's like 2 hours long. And I was like, I want to use this first part. Then I grabbed the remix of that, inserted it into the actual project, and then the original. So there's like a combination of, I guess, 3 or 2, you could say. That was like, that part took me like an hour because I was like, I really wanted something, and I really wanted to, have it be good and not be super over the top with it. So
yeah,
a lot of time was not spent on mixing at all. I was just spent on like, does this sound okay? Does this sound okay? And then the color correcting.
Oh.
And then the wording. So yeah.
I assume you would use DaVinci Resolve since you mentioned color correcting. Yeah, but then you use Premiere, and that's totally fine. So do you have any?
I wanted to use DaVinci, but I don't know how to use it.
Oh, okay. So do you have any website which you can recommend to find audio for your videos?
Honestly, I don't really have a website. It's just more of I listen to music a lot, like 24/7. Even as we're speaking right now, I'm listening to Nurture. Like I'm just also building ideas on my own. Like it's just I just sit down, in my room, and just listen to music. Like that's what I do. Or just while I'm playing a game, just put background music, for just some songs that I have on my playlist. I'll be like, can make an idea with that and just write it down. Like it doesn't matter, just write it down somewhere. Because that's like a big thing. If you have an idea, it's best to at least have it down somewhere. Because then you're gonna be like, I had an idea for this, but I don't.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more. It's a lot of like I'm just sitting in my room or doing something, just listening to music, and just be like, I can make something with this. I write it down on my phone somewhere on like my notes, and eventually come back to it later and be like, oh yeah, I remember this, and then eventually just elaborate that idea later on throughout the day or in weeks. Hell, the idea of LIFELIKE was sitting around for 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
LIFELIKE was sitting around just like the idea in general, just sitting around it for 4 months. Eventually, 2 months go by, and I was like, all right, let me just start making something. I'm late, sorry. And eventually, just made the idea of like, okay, I have the B. Right? I made the small one, the 30-second one, and then a month later, something else happened in my life. I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to start working on this, and then just been feeling better. There is if you want to look further into it, there is a Google Doc under the video. Like I don't know how long it is. I think it's like 5 pages that explains a little bit more into it of like what some parts mean throughout like the months.
I would be really interested.
So
in it.
it's like
Yeah.
it's like it's a story. It's sad, but I mean it makes me who I am. So
Yeah.
there's no worries.
Did you write the did you write a storyboard for your video?
There's no storyboard, sadly. It was just more. Well, is there a storyboard now that I think about it? There is a video. It's just like it's like how do you call it? I guess you could consider this a storyboard, but it's not really storyboard. It's like the video, right? But it's just the audio, and it just has like words slapped on top of it, like on the beats, like the switches and all that. So it's like, so there I have that just sitting around there too. That was like the original thing. Like I'm like, and what I would used to share to people, like, hey, I have this idea, help me with it. So I have that just sitting around.
Oh, cool. Do you have any friends who also do filmmaking in VRChat?
Actually, that's a good question. I know Mikey likes to do it every so now and then. Fusion Gunner does it for TikTok. Then we have Luciv, which is pretty good at it too. But I've only seen his work on TikTok and then just the Furality one recent. But like, it's kind of hard to find people that are interested in this, like, the same thing of like telling a story. Because like, until I got to the showcase and like the Discord and all that, like I started meeting actual people that were interested in the same thing, and I can talk to them about like camera angles. I was like, what? Like whenever they said, oh yeah, I love like long wide shots. Whenever I heard like actual like camera angles and the words being used, I was like, dude, no way. Because when I'll tell a friend, I'm like, hey, look what I made. They'll be like, sick, sick, and I'm like, oh yeah, my friend Finn, but they stopped doing stuff ever since. A lot of my friends that did like film stuff in VR eventually stopped because they just didn't find fun in the game. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't find this game as fun as I used to, but I like using it as a tool, like as a tool for me to improve my filming techniques on.
So, did you encounter any problems while filming?
Honestly, the only problem I would say is just not having full body and just having to work around the concept of half body. So that's like the only struggle.
Yeah, I didn't notice you don't have full body. Huh? Wow.
No, yeah, I don't. I was borrowing it from my friend during the weekend because she lives like 5 minutes away from me. I was like, hey, can I borrow your full body? She's like, sure. I just don't ask for it that often because I feel like, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm only using her for her food, because we barely talk half the time. So I asked her, you know, for the full body that weekend. But whenever I get the chance, like to get a full body again, I'll try to pump out some music video or something, which I did during solo. But no, yeah, I'm half body. The only problem I came across was just half body work. There is a clip of me with this avatar, literally just trying to sit down, but the tail kept getting in the way. And when I would tilt my head, like the tail would get in the way. So I'm like, motherfuck. Another problem I came across, I guess, was just not time, more of like, I was always recording at night. Like it was always being recorded at night. Like I was literally getting done recording the film, like editing, and I was like, dude, I'm missing like 5 shots. Just get back on the headset, just record them real quick. Trying to make sure which ones are the best ones, and yeah. And I'm trying to think of like another problem I came across. I guess Mikey's part. We just had like one small problem with it. The part where he enters the door, it was shot at a different angle, so it made it pretty hard. So I'm like, yeah, can we change that shot? And he's like, yeah, no worries. And eventually, 2 days later, I got the shot, put it in, export the video, call it a day. But there was nothing really complicated, and I'm so glad there was no virtual desktop problems, because you know how much of a pain that can be. Like, it is not
really?
fun.
What problem did you encounter when using virtual desktop?
I'm talking like delay, like mic delay, or like Wi-Fi problems in general with it trying to connect. Because that's what happened to me during one of my music videos before Just Be Competent. I was like so frustrated because of Wi-Fi problems, and it just made the experience not fun, but the video okay to make. But yeah, glad none of that Wi-Fi problem happened.
Even VRChat has its own problem.
Oh my god, yeah, though. And my computer, like beforehand, would crash in worlds, like specific worlds. It was so stupid. So I had to update to Windows 11, and it just stopped the crash. So that was not fun.
Is there any reason for you to ask your friends to help you create certain shots?
Mainly full body users that I have.
Oh, okay.
I have to give a lot of props to friends, Ruben, Fusion, Koofy, Mikey. Just think of the top of my head. Like, these are friends that have like full body, and I'm like, I can't afford that right now. I'm paying off debts for my dad. So why not just snatch a friend, be like, hey, can you just help me real quick, like 10 minutes? Not gonna take that long. So whenever I just need like a full body shot, or so I can show more emotion with like leg, more power and all that, I'll just grab a full body friend and be like, yeah, I just need you for this shot, that's all. Some of them like understand the topic, some of them are like, I don't get it. So it's a work in process. I'm very patient with people, so I'm like, I could just explain it to them. I don't go destroying my monitor over there like, what do you mean you don't understand? So just a lot of patience sometimes with people.
Yep. There are 2 things that I also want to kind of mention. First, I didn't notice that you are limited to half body after watching the video. I only noticed that when you told me, which means you did a really good job with what you have. And the second part is that I assumed you made most of the shot by yourself, mainly because I saw you didn't put a credit mentioning other people at the end of the video. And I also noticed that the avatar you use, they have the color is yellow, so I assume they are from the same person. So then so with this mindset, I started to look into like how you frame every shot and try to make every shot as moves as natural as possible. yeah, you're trying to kind of not be limited by what you have, yeah, and create something different.
That is something I would love, like to be more open about. Because like, don't get me wrong, I love working with people, but then I'm like, man, what if these people think my idea is stupid? That's like one scary thing that scares me. Like, I know they won't. Like, film students will be like, okay, we can elaborate this idea a little bit further. So, yeah, I mean, I love working with groups. I've worked with groups in the past, like in person, and we've actually made some decent work, surprisingly. And I want to be able to do that more in VR, but it's just so hard to find people half of the time. And it's also kind of on my end. I don't play this game as much. I just use it as a recording tool. Or just to test something.
Oh,
Like half of the avatars I buy, like this one, I literally bought it just for recording. Like
Oh
I
my
always
God.
was joking. This is literally just for, like 120, I think it was. Yeah, 20. And no, yeah, even being limited to like half body, there is ways to make yourself look like you have full body. Like turning on the fly feature will make your avatar static. Like you see how like station in there you can make like a good walking scene by just being static. There's like many ways to get around it that I have to figure out throughout the system. And just the different angles, like I guess a low tilted angle could help you. Or high angles, all those different ones. There's different ways to cover your half body. It's just ways. You just gotta get creative with it. I feel like that's part of like the job.
Yeah. When you
The more
mentioned
creative you get,
yeah.
I feel like
when you mentioned turning on the fly
you
feature,
go.
what do you mean?
What I mean, in normally, you know how when you don't have the fly feature on, your whole body moves like how you see right here, right?
Yeah.
But when you turn on the fly feature, your character becomes static, like you get pinned to the floor, type of thing.
Oh.
So there is a thing that you can do
Oh,
where
yeah.
if you want to make yourself look like you're walking, you turn on the fly, tilt a little bit to the like bottom left or bottom right, whichever way you're going, and then just
That's a
move
really
forward
cool idea.
and make your hand look natural.
Yeah.
It's something that I did once. I was like, holy I gotta do this more often. And you can do this with many things. Even with having, I guess, like locomotion is really good, especially for half body users. Because let's say you want to get a scene where you're just sitting down. Well, you're not gonna do it with just the default sit down, and you just wanna. There's ways to make yourself look like natural. You just have to be very careful with the movement of your head, because if you move the head, it's gonna move the body. So it's a lot about knowing what you want and what you're going for. Comparing the work I did at Aqua, like I noticed, like you can tell clearly I'm a half body user. There's a scene where I'm hugging my friend, and you can tell like my whole half body was moving, when I could have just zoomed it in a bit, angled it at a low angle, and it can completely cover it. There's just many creative ways you can get with it.
I feel like you're an expert of acting with half body.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I don't really consider myself an expert at it. I just kind of I'm like, I need this done, and I want it done this way, so I'll find a loop around it if I find a roadblock. There's just many different ways you can work with it.
Yeah. There are more tricks like this with full body. Trust me.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's why I want full body so bad. Like, I have slime coming in August, but I'm so scared it's not gonna be the same as live trackers and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I'm really hoping it's not gonna destroy the whole concept. Because I am so key about showing emotion with just avatars, and like having full body shows so much more. Like there's so much more you can tell. And whenever I see like one of my full body friends just laying in a mirror doing nothing, and I tell them, why did you buy full body? They're like, I'll just feel look pretty in a game. I'm like, dude, please, I need your equipment for other things that I could be working on right now. So yeah.
yeah, the motivation for you to use, yeah, I use the word use instead of play VRChat is really different because most people just hop in VRChat and play the game, enjoy socializing with other people. But I feel like you mostly use VRChat to as a tool to express yourself.
Yeah, I tend to do that a lot. Like that's kind of one of the reasons I kind of got bigger too. Because like I saw when I was scrolling through TikTok, like I guess 2 years ago now. I remember seeing like one of like a TikToker. They were making stuff in VR. I'm like, dude, that is so cool. And I was like, I could do this. And I started my TikTok account. In a month, I earned like what 20K, and then I got banned. I don't even remember why I got banned. Then I started a new one a week after, and now I'm like at 22K. I don't post on TikTok anymore because it's not really my fit of what I like doing, of like, you know, music videos, cinematography, focusing on that type of genre, and not of some quick, simple, easy joke. So whenever I see like people on Twitter, that's why I post a lot more on Twitter now. I see like, you know, cinematography stuff. I see different worlds. I'm like, I could do something with this world. I'll save it later, use it as a tool. Like even my favorite worlds are like organized for them to be like based on like what I want to use for recording, photos, all that. Like this game became more of a social platform. It went from being a social platform to being a recording platform for me.
Yeah,
that I
or
use.
production tool.
I want to see more people get into like the cinematography of it. That's for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, I love what people do on TikTok, Twitter. Like, their little silly videos of them just dancing. I do that too. And I'm like, but I want to see more. I want to see more of the creative side people get. I want to see like more like how can you tell a story, you know, in a virtual social game? Like how do you do that? And like the showcase did a really good job at showing how people can get creative with it. Like Friends was a good example of like a comedy, you know, or like a skit, a parody. And then you had the one with the otters. I forgot what it was called. Work with me here. That one did a really good job at, you know, like telling a story too. And the ones with choreography those were phenomenal. I was like blown away with that. I'm like, you took the time out of your day, you know, to learn some moves, put it into a video, have a cameraman record it, and do that same motion so many times. Maybe not many times, but that's my guess because I work solo. For me, it's a lot of like retaking shots, like 5 times, just same movement, same choreography, and just get it done.
What camera did you use for your video?
The regular camera.
The default camera?
All of this is shot with the regular camera.
I mean,
the
yeah. Oh, okay. I guess you mean the VRChat camera, because a couple of people use VRC lens.
No, trust me. I have VRC lens and another avatar. I'm not good with Unity at all. Like, at all. So like, I have to get a friend to be like, hey, can you maybe, you know, graph my avatar with VRC lens on it. So like, I don't like doing all that. I feel like it's too much work, and I don't like wasting people's time over stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I love to learn Unity myself, but I don't have the time for it half of the time. I'm working on different things, and I want to pump things out. I don't want to like learn Unity and be like, oof, okay, how do I make a toggle? So I have VRC lens. There's a orbital camera one I bind them. I just haven't inserted them. Apart from VRC lens. I saw VRC lens and I was like, this is really complicated. But most of the stuff I do is just the regular camera.
Oh.
It's just regular camera. And just Premiere work. Like the whole like zooming in is just Premiere. Like I'm just adding keyframes. Adding a motion.
I guess that.
And just because I don't know how to work those cameras, man. Yeah, that's one thing.
I mean, first of all, I think it's good for a camera to be complicated, because that means it probably have tons of
No,
features.
definitely.
Yeah, and secondly,
Yeah, I feel like that's a good part about them.
yeah, and secondly, I think it's also a good idea to do things in post production, because there are certain things which can only be achieved, or can be a lot easier to be achieved in post production.
In post production, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw, you just reminded me, there's a tweet, someone tweeted, they were saying like how they need to add a, like, how do you call it? A camera like update for content creators. Like I feel like, and they went into good detail, like saying like, maybe add like a tracking shot or like different types of things, maybe different focal lengths, all that type of thing. Like make it easier, like maybe different pinpoints, just simple stuff like that. And like reading through that, I was like, damn, bro, this guy has a good point. Like you have people out here paying like $20 and all that for like an extension of a camera, which like it kind of sucks. Like when we had mods before, we had like all this other stuff that we could just download for free and just work. That's how I was able to do a lot of my stuff back then. Just download it through the mods and just make it work. And then like that got wiped, and I was like, ooh. I was like, oof.
Yeah, some people have mentioned this to me also. Yeah, but people just ended up finding other proper ways to deal with this type of problem. Yeah,
I just work with what I have. Like I guess I'm one of the, like a good example of the definition of work with what you got. Like I am, as we're speaking, I am in the living room. Like anybody can walk past and see what I'm doing.
Oh my god.
Like my computer's in the living room. I do all my work in the living room. I record in the living room. I have a Quest and no full body and just work with what I got. I work with just the VR camera. It's just you gotta make it work. Like if you want to make something good, you just have to make it work. You just need a good story, a good example for yourself, and yeah, I feel like that's how you can make a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
You can have like the best camera equipment, but if you like, let's say you know how to use it, but your shots are not the best, your tracking is not the best. There's no sync, or there's no good music that makes sense with the story you're telling. It would just make it a very vague story. Like it would feel like, oh, that was just another story. There goes 4 minutes of my life. But if you're just, working with your little phone, you can literally work with your little phone at home, and you know how to use, angles, you know how to, your scores you want to use, all that, the story you want to tell, and you do a good job at it, people will remember that. And I feel like that's the important part. It doesn't matter what camera you use, it's more of how you use it.
True. How do you establish the emotional connection between your video and the audience?
Personal experience. Like it's just personal experience. Honestly, I don't feel like you will tell a good story if you at least don't connect to it somehow.
Then,
like if you've gone through those type of things that were mentioned in the video, you will understand. Like even like stages of trying to reach out for help, you will understand that type of thing. Like your story, you can build a story, right? But you need to add some of that personal life into it. Like you can't just be like, oh yeah, I just told the story, and they're like, well, what did you get it inspired from? Like, I don't know, people on the internet, or like it just, because you don't understand how it feels. If you don't understand how it feels, I feel like it just breaks it. It's like you don't understand what you're making, and if you understand what you're making, I feel like that's what makes it possible. So a lot of the emotional connection was making, listening to the music, seeing what type of story it's trying to tell me, envision that story, branch out, make my own story, and try to connect it in with emotion. And I'm really glad the video did what it did, like for the emotion part,
Yeah.
because like I would talk to friends and I left like a good amount of my friends crying, and I'm like, yep, the video did exactly what I wanted to do. It was the whole reason was for it to make you cry. Like the whole reason was for it to be a like a realization within yourself. It's not just like a story of like, oh yeah, that's my life. No, it's supposed to make you realize that there's still hope for you. Like there's still hope for you, and just hit that little click in your head of like there's people that will care for you. You are like nature. Yada yada. You get it.
Yeah. Uh, I feel like working on a project that is related to your story can sometimes be a double-edged sword, because on the one hand you are the person experiencing it, and you have a clear idea about what you are going to make. But on the other hand, sometimes the story may be a little bit too personal, and other people can maybe have a hard time understanding your interpretation of that story.
That is one thing I did notice. That is one thing I noticed when I was writing the words. I was like just looking up motivational stuff. That was the first mistake I made. I was looking up stuff, motivational quotes that I could just copy and paste into it. And I was like, no. I'm gonna do something I went through and try to figure it out to make it connect with the audience. That's where there's different stories in that thing. There's 4 if you notice. There is the one for making it like trying to get away from this depressing thought. Trying to get what's it called? Trying to I forgot the word. Trying to get over someone is one. The second one was I already forgot the second one. Oh my god. Oh, finally loving yourself. Getting over depression, and then what was the last one? I'm trying to remember. Like hitting realization. So that again, sorry. Reword it like for it to make sense because I just sprout out words. So the Rex one was supposed to be the first one, but I left it for last. That was around the time when I realized I can help myself. So that's what the Rex tries to tell, trying to help yourself. Then around, I guess, after the summer, it was, I think, the wagon one, which was trying to overcome my ex. So a lot of people go through that type of thing. So I'm like, I want to retail overcoming someone and trying to get, away from that type of thought, just knowing you're somewhere better. So that's what the wagon represents. The Mikey's part represents overcoming depression, like going through those stages of you want to leave those sad thoughts, and you can do it. So you gotta be yourself and just go for it. Just let it all out. And then the protege, you could tell was the most happy out of all of them. He told more about a happy story of this new feeling, this new happiness, and it's just pretty much it's the full circle of finally happy with yourself again. Going from such a horrible state of realizing you can change, trying to overcome someone, eventually trying to overcome your depression, and then back to the top of happiness.
Wow, that is really deep. And a lot of things to process.
And they all have their own different things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good luck cutting all that. You cutting that together.
Yeah. And this is the point of having an interview like this, because most of the audience cannot fully understand the meaning behind the story just by watching the video.
No, yeah, definitely. I wanted to do a video on my thing eventually, later on, explaining a little bit of detail, what some of the avatars meant. Even the beginning had meaning. If you notice, they were the color of blue and pink. Pink is caring, blue is I already forgot. But yeah. It has a meaning. It has a meaning. The beginning also has a meaning. It's not just some little thing that was thrown together. The colors did end up having a meaning that I really liked. And just the whole video as a whole was just supposed to be a message from someone that's gone through 4 different things: the breakup, depression, happiness, and then just knowing that you can change. They all have a different story that can be told, and I just crunched it all together, put it in a video, made it as a message to the audience of you can help yourself even if you feel it's all over. There's still that small spark within you that you can just reach out and eventually just overcome it.
Oh, I feel like I learned a lesson today. Thanks for explaining.
Yeah. Trust me. No, yeah. No, it was a battle within myself. It was a huge battle. There was many times where I was just like ready to just cut it all off. But yeah, for like 3 times. But then I kind of just reminded myself like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all okay. You just need to look ahead and just keep going at it. And look, it worked out. It worked out. It just took a year. It just took a year. It's not gonna be within a day that's gonna happen. All that. No, it takes months, weeks, maybe even years.
Time cures
But eventually, you will find that
everything.
source of happiness.
Yeah. Is this your first short film you made in VRChat?
No. Well, actually, I have many other different ones, and some that are just tucked away. There's many that are tucked away. They just never saw the light of day. And I do plan on uploading some of those in a separate video of me reacting to them,
I'm really interested.
because there's screenshots. Like there's screenshots. Like I have them all saved on my computer of like ideas. Like I'm talking ideas of just stuff just sitting there that never made it through. Because I love creativity. I love getting creative with it. This game lets you have that creativity.
Same,
Like we're
same.
literally talking animals, dude. We are literally talking animals, talking about a virtual con that we went to and attended. Like let that sink in. So, with that creativity,
Yeah.
you can make many things happen. But very limited with the stuff. So a lot of stuff had to be cut and just. But yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to experiment with or create in the future? I assume those would be one of your personal stories, right? Or do you have other else to say?
Honestly, I feel like LIFELIKE is just gonna be a one thing and just once. Just a one thing.
Really?
Like I feel like if I try to elaborate further into it, I feel like it's like Spider-Man, Miles Morales. Like if they make a 5th movie, it's just gonna kill it. Like I don't want to make so many things. I feel like it's best if I just leave it as a one thing. Like of course I'm gonna use some of Porter's work, like nurture, or find different ways to tell different stories. But I don't want to be able to touch those type of like stories again, because I'm like, I already went through it. I already told my story. What is there further to tell? Apart from just going into detail with it. But that's.
What do you want to create next?
I have I shared it earlier. If you want, you can share it too. I shared like some of the stuff I was working on when I still had full body. It was using Fellow Feeling by Porter again, of course, because I can't get enough of him. And it was just, I don't know what I'm taking the story. Like that's simple. I have a lot of stuff. Bad Bunny's album Un Verano Sin Ti. It's just a summer without you. So I wanted to tell a story around that album, but half body. So a lot of my ideas have to be settled down, and I have to figure out something else that's gonna work, because like right now I haven't been working on much work. I'm just more of like a person like, okay, I'll eventually work on this in 3 months. So I'm more of like, I want to do more IRL stuff for sure, like be able to tell stories from there too, because I'm able to express as a human being and not a talking dog in a virtual game. So I'm able to do that too. You'll tell more, but for now I don't have much.
Yeah.
Apart from just 30 seconds of frustration. Or, no, not frustration. Sorry, Fellow Feeling, and just cutting it off right before the beat drop. And that's it. That's all I have. There's a lot more projects that are just sitting around, but I don't know where I want to take them. So they're just sitting, waiting to be eventually brought back up. I have like 10 just sitting there. I was about to name them off, but it's just 10 sitting there. But no, yeah. I feel like it's more of like it's best to build the idea now, have something, eventually come back to it and be like, "Ooh, okay, I could change this, make it elaborate more." It's like a painting, how I said earlier. You know, you can paint a beautiful like city, right? And you're like, "This looks beautiful for the day," and then come back to it in a week and be like, "I could probably change that and change all that."
True.
So it's a lot about time. You just need to learn how to manage your time and not rush things, because that was one of my mistakes, and I don't like rushing things. It's best to take it slow, take it simple. And once you see like nothing that you can change, I feel like you're like, all right, that's where you call it quits. Because then if you start changing things like out of the blue, whatever, it's gonna be dumb. And it can make a lot of big moments just become very little ones, and lose that meaning that you wanted to have before.
Is there any type of genre you would like to try? I'm not sure what type of genre
Hopeless
your
romantic.
video is.
Romance.
Romance. Oh,
I would love to try that. There's an idea that I have. I'm just haven't elaborated it fully, and I want to work with one of my friends. And I'm like, yeah, we could tell a story of two lovers, but I just don't want it to be too vague. So that's the only roadblock I'm coming across for right now. It's just I don't want it to be too vague and just be like, oh, another love story. I don't know. I gotta elaborate it. I'll probably like drop it for now, but eventually pick it back and be like, okay, let's see what I can do with it. Because I'm more of a person of like pick up an idea, drop it, pick up an idea, drop it, pick up an idea. Just because I'm like, it's more of like the moment. But
yeah.
oh, yeah. The genres would be just romance stuff. I feel like that would be pretty cool. I've done it in the past, but I want to touch on it again. Hopeless romantic, it's just a genre I love. LIFELIKE was more, I guess, emotional. I guess you could just say emotional EDM, but that's all I can really think. That's all I really could think. Just Porter music, just a message.
Do you have any questions for me?
Did you learn anything from the video? Like the music video in general? Like did it hit like any emotional spot by any chance?
It out. So the first thing I look into is the technical aspects. Like so a couple of things which I mentioned earlier, like how do you match the visual with the audio, and how you film everything all by yourself. In terms of the emotional connection, I feel like is it weird to say that I didn't cry and I'm
No, you're completely fine. No, like there's some people that won't get it and some people that will. Like I'm guessing like a lot of the people that did get it was because they listened to Porter. Like there was people in their instance, they're like, oh my god, is this a Porter song? And they're like, and I could tell from their voice they were about to like burst down crying just from listening to Porter, because it's just something you gotta go through. Like if you understand the emotional connection between like Porter and like your personal life, like some sort of thing, or like eventually makes sense. I feel like yeah, it just has to go through a lot. Like you have to go through a type of thing. Or like I don't know. That's how I saw that video was supposed to be. Yeah. Like a lot of people were like, yeah, that was a pretty cool video, and like a lot of people were like, damn, that really hit me. Like there's like the two sides, like really cool video, emotional. You know?
I feel like the video is really positive and optimistic. That's what I could feel. Yeah, and thanks for answering all of the questions. Yeah, thanks for joining the interview.
Thank you. I was like blown away. Like you wanted like do the interview things with other people. I was like, hey, that's actually so cool. And like, I was in the call with my friend earlier. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go, but I gotta interview in like a few. And he's like, had an interview? I'm like, yeah, for LIFELIKE. He's like, dude, what? And I was like, yeah. So a really cool idea that you're doing on there, and I really think it's really cool. Did you like want to dig deeper into like some of the meanings of, or just the concepts? You know, I really think it's really cool.